Well, there's a lot of weird things going on in the world right now when it comes to viruses and quarantine, and that means we've been sticking pretty close to home and not going out a whole lot. And that's why there hasn't been a lot of new content lately, is we just haven't been going any place to shoot any video. However, at some point, I wanted to have something to put out on the channel, and I thought, why not take this opportunity to look back through tens of thousands of photographs and videos and see some of the places where we've already gone and show them to you again, and perhaps in some cases for the first time. So I'm assuming this is going to become a bit of a series, and we're going to start right now with the ghost town of Dorothy, Alberta. My first trip to Dorothy took place more than 20 years ago, sometime in the late 90s. I wasn't really good about documenting my photos at that time, so I like to say 1997. And this is one of the first images I took on that trip. This church was apparently built in 1944 and was in use until 1967, at which time it was left to the elements. And this is still one of my favorite photos I've ever taken in the town of Dorothy, and keep it in mind because we're going to come back to this church a few times on this trip. Sitting right across the road from that first church is this one, slightly older, built in 1932 and abandoned a bit earlier in 1961. Now, if you're thinking that church looks familiar, you may have seen it in the music video for Tom Cochrane's Life is a Highway, which was released in 1991. Now, the other really iconic building in Dorothy is the grain elevator, and it is the first thing you see as you approach Dorothy from no matter which direction you're coming, because it stands right beside the highway and towers over everything else in the town. Now, the sources I found online seem to agree the elevator was built in 1928. However, some sources say it was closed in 1951, and others say it was closed in 1961. Either way, it's clear it's been abandoned a lot longer than it was ever in use. Now, on July the 22nd, 2015, a major windstorm ripped through the Dorothy area and took the roof off the elevator, and so unfortunately, it's been exposed to the elements ever since. Now, the news for the buildings in Dorothy isn't all bad. Remember that church I told you about that I first shot in 1997? Well, watch this evolution here over the years as a major restoration effort has taken place, given it new steps, new windows, a new coat of paint, a new roof. It has never looked better, and that is a real success story here in Dorothy. Not to be outdone, the little church across the road has also undergone a restoration over the last 15 years or so. I call this the most photographed car in the province of Alberta. I think every abandoned places photographer has some version of this photo in their portfolio. Maybe because it was my first true ghost town, Dorothy is a place I can just come back and visit time and time again. You know, it was actually on a visit to Dorothy in 2016 that I met a fella named Garnet Price, who was flying his DJI Phantom over top of the Dorothy grain elevator. And that's when I first got the idea of, I want a drone. And it was the fact that I got a drone that actually led me to really starting this channel. So the roots of Dan O'Can really go back to Dorothy. And it's a really special place. If you do get a chance to check it out, I suggest you do. I also suggest you subscribe if you like the content here, and I hope you're enjoying it. And this is, like I said, probably the first in a series of videos we'll do with looking back at places we visited in the past. Thank you very much for watching.